To Impact OC, the only program showcasing the people and organizations shaping Orange County. With your host, Don Camber.
Hello, I'm OC Talk Radio Public Affairs Director Don Camber with another great guest impacting our community in a positive way. Today I welcome Pancreatic Cancer Action Network Orange County affiliate Mission Chair Roberta Luna. Roberta has been living with pancreatic cancer for 18 years. Thank you, Roberta, for being on Impact OC.
Thank you for having me back. I really appreciate it.
Roberta, you've managed to survive a cancer that for many is a death sentence within years of diagnosis. Please share with us your story of diagnosis and survival.
Yes. Thank you. My first connection actually with pancreatic cancer started in 1964, but I was only 9 years old, so I really had no idea what it was or what, but my grandmother had just passed away. And it wasn't until years later when my own dad became ill. He was a man that was, never sick a day in his life. I never saw him take an aspirin. He never missed a day of work. He was almost 6 feet tall, 175 pounds, very active, and just a great dad, just always there. When he became ill in 1997, we really didn't know what was going on with him, and him not complaining, we couldn't figure out what was happening. He had some pain in his stomach area, which we actually thought was due to a previous car accident he had had. Finally, months of him going through pain and losing weight, we were able to get him into a doctor. And it took many months again for a diagnosis, but they came to us and told us, I'm sorry, your dad has pancreatic cancer. We hadn't really heard of pancreatic cancer at that time, except for when Michael Landon was diagnosed. I remember seeing him and thinking, he came on Johnny Carson, said he had pancreatic cancer, but he was going to fight it and he was going to win. And at that time I thought, well, if anybody could, I'm sure it would be him. I never gave it a thought again until my own dad was diagnosed some years later. And I remembered seeing Michael Landon, how healthy he looked, and then how he looked before passing away, and wondering what we could do for my own dad. And we talked to the doctors. They went in and decided that they were going to do surgery to see if they could remove the cancer. And when they opened him up, they just closed him back up and came to us and told us there was nothing they could do for him. We needed to go home and put his affairs in order. I think we were kind of naive because not knowing about pancreatic cancer, we thought, well, there's chemo. There has to be something you can do. And the doctor just grabbed my hand and said, you don't understand. It's pancreatic cancer. Nobody survives it. You need to spend as much quality time as you can with your dad. So we asked, well, how much time do we have? I mean, I think my dad knew how much we loved him. But when you're given that kind of diagnosis, I think you want to cram everything you can into that period of time. And the doctor said, well, I don't expect him to live any more than 3 to 6 months. My dad was gone within 2 weeks. So we never really had the chance to do everything we wanted to do, though I think he knew how much we loved him. There were just things that we were just robbed of that time to really, I think, show him even more than we normally would have. After losing my dad, that's how I found out my grandmother had also died from pancreatic cancer, his mother. When I asked my doctor what I needed to look for or what the chances of me also, being diagnosed, that I was told, don't worry about it, hun, you're too young and it's not hereditary. I was only in my 40s at that time. So again, I never really gave it much thought. And then my dad's baby brother became ill in 2002. And I became ill around the same time, but we thought, it was the flu or just put up all different other things, not even thinking again of pancreatic cancer. And then my uncle called me in January of 2002 and said, hi, Squirt, they just told me it's pancreatic cancer and to go home and put my house in order. Again, my uncle only lived maybe 2 short weeks after being diagnosed. Again, after losing him, I went back to my doctor and said, I haven't been feeling well. I just lost my uncle, my third family member, to pancreatic cancer. What do I need to do, or what kind of tests can we run to see if that's what's going on? And again, was told, don't worry about it. You're too young and it's not hereditary. Let's look at, they ruled out pregnancy. They ruled out different things going on, and finally said, well, let's look at your gallbladder and see what's happening there. And I had to remind him he'd removed my gallbladder years earlier. So obviously, I don't think it was that. It was difficult to get them to do any tests because they thought I was too young and not thinking it was hereditary. They really just didn't want to spend maybe the time, maybe the money, I don't know, but they didn't want to do anything really. They wanted just to wait and see what happened. When my doctor told me, let's just wait and see, I don't take wait and see very well. I grabbed my checkbook, signed a check, blank check, gave it to him and said, we need to do some tests. I want to know what's going on. So they did start testing. Unfortunately, at that time, and still not really today, there's really no diagnostic tests like with breast cancer, or there's no colonoscopy or anything we can get for colon cancer. But they started with some blood work, urine, and CTs, all different kinds of scans. Finally, they called me and said, come on into the office. We have your test results. So on April 1st, 2002, I went to my doctor. I knew what was coming because just like my dad, when you're getting a diagnosis, they don't look at you in the eyes. They're looking at the floor. He sat down next to me, grabbed my hand and said, I'm sorry, it is pancreatic cancer because you already know the outcome and nobody survives. I think our next option is to go ahead and start treatment as soon as possible to at least give you some good few months left. So we actually started treatment the next week, and it was difficult. It wasn't easy to go through. There were days, to be quite honest, I think I wondered why I was doing it. I remember telling Vic,
Vic's her husband.
Yeah, I'm sorry, thank you. Just hand me the gun and let me put it into it now, to the suffering, not just for myself, but for my family, what they were going through. But there's just something in you that when you want to survive, that you stick it out, no matter the difficulty. You stick it out and you continue to work on it. And with the support of my family and others, it was just a time when I'm glad I stuck it out, obviously. But it was very, very difficult. And then to lose 3 family members and then to go through it myself, and then to have my mom diagnosed in 2008 with pancreatic cancer, I just thought, life really isn't fair, but we just stuck it out. My mom came to live with us. We took care of her until she passed away in 2013. And just, she was always very hopeful and optimistic. And that's just pretty much the way we've dealt with this disease. It's just to look at the upside and always be thankful for every day that my feet can touch that floor and I can continue, hopefully, to bring hope and inspire somebody else to keep fighting.
Can you explain why it's tough to diagnose? Where is the pancreas in the body?
Okay, it is very difficult to diagnose because it actually lays further in your back. It's closer to your back than into the front. So generally, when they do an exam, they can't always feel if there's anything going on there. So a lot of people present with backaches. So a lot of times doctors think, or even patients will think maybe they sprained a muscle or pulled a muscle, or maybe it's their kidney. A lot of the times the symptoms, unfortunately, are so vague that they can represent for any other disease like gallstones or other digestional problems as well. So it is very difficult to diagnose because of the location. And the pancreas is very important for us because it's what secretes our insulin and also helps break down the enzymes for our food.
Do you believe that you're alive today still because you sought to get the diagnosis early?
I do. I think, and it's sad that I had to lose family members, but had I not lost them, I don't think I would have been as stringent in making sure to get the test done and to get a diagnosis. I don't know. I would have kept fighting for it because, like most other people, I don't think I would have known what was going on. I would have looked at anything else other than pancreatic cancer.
What was the treatment that you went through that you say was brutal?
I did a 5-FU and gemcitabine, which were chemotherapies at that time. And then I was put onto onto radiation, which actually caused me to go into kidney failure. And because I only have one kidney, it was a really serious thing for us to go through at that time. We had to kind of take a break from all chemo and radiation to let the kidney heal. And after that period of time, it's very scary because when you're not doing anything at all, pancreatic cancer can grow very quickly. I just happen to be very fortunate where for me, it's been little bit more on the slow growing side. But after we had time for the kidney to rest, we started back with the 5-FU and the gemcitabine again.
Now, you told me you're in the third stage of pancreatic cancer of 4 stages.
No, I was diagnosed with stage 3, but initially, because I was diagnosed early, I assumed I was only a stage 1. At the time I was first diagnosed, they really didn't go into staging a lot with me. And it wasn't until I actually heard a doctor from the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network speak, and she was talking about staging when it hit me that, no, she can't be right. I'm only a stage 1. And she's, very sweetly and nicely let me know that, no, hun, you are stage 3. So
When did you get involved with the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network?
I first got involved, to be honest with you. I met Pam Acosta Marquardt, who is the founder, back when my dad was diagnosed through the Johns Hopkins website. They had a discussion board for people, and she had lost her mother to pancreatic cancer in 1997. So that was my first link with them. And then when my father passed away, I got information as well from them. But I started volunteering for them in 2008. Vic, my husband, and I had gone to their advocacy day, and I was so impressed by what they were doing for advocacy for survivors. But it also hit me that most people that were there were because they had lost somebody. I only remember hearing 4 survivors being there, and I think it crushed me to think that in that day and time, the survival was so low that most people there had lost somebody. And I felt, I'm a survivor and I'm doing better than a lot. I need to be able to speak for those. So I got in touch with them and became part of the Orange County affiliate. And we've been doing it since 2008.
And there is an event coming up, the virtual Purple Stride Orange County event on November 21st. Explain.
Yes, this is going to be a little different for us. We've been doing Purple Stride Orange County since 2009 was our first year. They're usually held in person, but because of the pandemic, and PanCan puts their patient, survivors, and constituents first. So it was decided back, I believe in March or April, that all Purple Strides right now would need to be virtual. So we're trying to keep it as close to the real thing as we can, but everything will be recorded. And if people will go online to purplestride.org/Orange County to register, registration is free. And when the day rolls around, we will be giving them the website and the link that they can go and click on, and they'll hear our opening ceremonies. We'll have a speaker, we'll have a survivor speaker. So we're trying to keep it as normal as we've done in the past. It's just now everything will be virtual.
Now, we recently said farewell to Alex Trebek, Jeopardy host. And I understand that you met him.
Yes, Vic and I were fortunate enough to be able to meet him back in May of 2019, not too long after his diagnosis. He actually spoke at Los Angeles Purple Stride, and he called all the survivors to come up to the stage to join him as well. And afterwards, we were able to get a photo with him. It was something that we weren't really looking to do. We understood what he was going through and wanted to give him his space, and just appreciated him being there and bringing inspiration to survivors. But somebody had told him my story and that I was a survivor, so he insisted Vic and I pose with him and take a photo, which we're very grateful for. And it just really meant a lot to us that in his time with what he was going through, he was actually looking to other survivors and making them feel good and trying to inspire them. I think he was just a big inspiration, and it's something that we're really going to miss. But he continues to inspire us today, and will continue for, I'm sure, many, many years.
Now, do you live each day thinking you have pancreatic cancer, or do you live each day just living, and then when the end happens, the end happens?
I think I pretty much just live it. I don't think about having pancreatic cancer. I mean, every once in a while, of course, when something will happen, or after a treatment, if I'm doing treatments, I might think about it a little bit. But generally, I'm very, very stubborn, and I've decided it's not going to get the best of me. If anything, I think I'm going to get the best of it. And luckily, I have not had a treatment it'll be 2 years in December. My tumor at the moment, though, still there, is just dormant. It's not active right now. And as far as I'm concerned, it can continue to sleep as long as it wants. At some point in time, I believe that with the research, we will come up and find either a cure or some sort of surgery that will remove my tumor.
What other people have you heard of have lived longer than you with this disease?
Yes, I know her very well, a survivor from San Diego. She's going 22 years. There's others that we've come across that have been 30 years and longer. The only thing that makes my tumor a little bit different from theirs is I still have mine. Most of them have had theirs removed or chemo has taken care of it. Like I said, mine is dormant at the time, but it's still there. I have not been able to have surgery to have it removed. But they give me hope in the fact that knowing what they went through, even before myself, with even less drugs than what I had to work with, that they're still here and surviving, and they're living active lives. If you were to look at them, you couldn't tell that they had cancer. They look healthy. They just look like anybody else off the street.
Can you tell us some of the symptoms of pancreatic cancer?
Yes, unfortunately, the symptoms are vague and they can vary from, different people and also present with different illnesses. A lot is, stomach discomfort, nausea, diarrhea, constipation, pain. Some people have pain in their back, some in their stomach. Another sign is extreme itching of the skin. That's what makes diagnosis so very difficult, is that the symptoms can be so vague.
How young can a person be diagnosed with the disease?
When I was diagnosed, the problem was they were thinking it affected those in their 60s and 70s. Unfortunately, we've known many, even teenagers, that have been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. I just came across a young lady who was only 16 when she was diagnosed, and unfortunately, she just lost the battle, but she was very young when she was diagnosed.
What can people do to prevent themselves from contracting the disease?
I don't really know what you can do to prevent it. I mean, it's just like anything else. They tell you, healthy diet, exercise, research. We're still trying to figure out what the one common maybe denominator might be for that. But I just would suggest living as healthy life as you can, but also you want to enjoy your life as well. But it's very, very hard. I would say if you're a smoker, quit smoking. Not that that's the one contributor, obviously, but for most cancers, that's what they have been able to find out, that there is a link with cigarette smoking. But with just live your life the best you can, stay well. I mean, whatever it takes to make you well, yoga, meditation, get your physicals, make sure you get your physicals. And if you have any symptoms at all, you know your body better than anybody else. Do what you need to do to feel good about what they're telling you. If you feel there's something more wrong going on with you, don't be afraid to speak up. Let them know that, I know my body. I want to check and make sure that everything's okay.
Is there enough money for research?
There is. I won't get into it too much because I'm a little off on that, but PanCan has done an excellent job researching grants and stuff, and I would suggest for anybody who's interested to see the research, they can visit the website at pancan.org, and there is a section there that says research, and it gives you everything that's going on right now, and they have really done a tremendous job, especially today with this pandemic that's going on.
Roberta, how do you want to be perceived?
That's hard. Somebody who loves life, who loves fun, who wants to help others, who I hope by sharing my story understands that this doesn't have to be a death sentence, that you can survive. I believe that there's something higher up, or there's God or something else that will decide when I die, and not a doctor. But I also respect what they can give me as far as, cures and just treatment. But I just hope that when somebody thinks of me, they smile and just think she inspired me, or she was an inspiration.
Thank you, Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, Orange County affiliate, Mission Chair Roberta Luna, for being on Impact OC. Roberta has been living with pancreatic cancer for 18 years, and I thank everyone for tuning in. I'm OC Talk Radio Public Affairs Director Dawn Camber. Have an impactful day.
Thank you.
Welcome to Impact OC, the only program showcasing the people and organizations shaping Orange County. With your host, Dawn Camber.